Hey, what's up everybody? It's Brian here on neverhandover.blogspot.com. Getting ready to do a video review on a little show called New Year's Revolution '07. Now you can see the visage of DX dressed up like some Revolutionary War era politicians signing the Declaration of Independence. Terribly tacky cover art here. But the show itself, let's talk about it. 7 matches were on the card. It happened January 7th of 2007, and I believe since the New Year's Revolution show has been disbanded. Good riddance. Well, let's go ahead and talk about the first match. Now, this took place in the Kemper Arena in Kansas City, which, if I remember correctly, is where Owen Hart died. Dressing up like a moronic superhero and repelling from the rafters can be a cruel mistress. But the first match of the show was a steel cage match. We had Jeff Hardy, the Intercontinental Champion, against none other than John Morrison with Melina at his side. Now, I watched this match recently on the Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy Twist of Fate DVD, and I gave it a 6. That score sticks. I did watch it again, and I believe that is a justifiable and a fair score. There are some good and bad things about the match. There's some pretty big bumps. Now, both of these guys are probably best known for their ability to bump around the ring and make other people look good. So here you kind of have a showcase of that. Neither of them are particularly great offensively, although Jeff Hardy has some amazing Daredevil moves. Not a ton that were on display here, though. There are a couple big moves in the match that stick out, that come to mind. The finish is very innovative. Jeff Hardy basically drop kicks the door of the cage and it crotches Morrison. I believe, again, I wrote about that in the aforementioned review of this match. But it's a good opener. It's kind of interesting to start a show with a cage match, I thought. And both of them, you know, one thing about the match I didn't like is that rewatching it again a second time, although oddly I liked it a little bit more than the last time I saw it. But one of the things that kind of stuck out to me and kind of rubbed me the wrong way was that a lot of the spots are kind of slow. There's not a really great ebb and flow to this match. You got 2 electrifying, high-flying wrestlers here in this match, and yet not a lot of that's on display. Granted, it is a cage match, so they're more confined, and that kind of changes the element of that. But moving on to the next match, I guess. Again, that was a 6. The second match was a unannounced bonus match. It was a tag team turmoil match, basically a gauntlet with 5 teams total. Now it started off with the world's greatest tag team of Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin, and they started off with the Highlanders. Now a lot of teams and a lot of people in this show in general, even though it was only 2 years ago, have been future endeavored. So kind of an interesting factoid. The Highlanders, to me, watching them here, just look grossly outdated, very 90s. Most of the work that we saw from them showcased was Rory basically selling for the world's greatest tag team. Now, the world's greatest tag team, 2 collegiate guys, definitely as far as athletic prowess, you know, phenomenal. But as a team, and especially at this point, still very bland. And I think that really rang true here because we had to watch them for a good chunk of time. So the Highlanders were in first. They got eliminated. Now, this match, I think one of the things that hurt it is that the crowd, you know, it was unannounced, and they weren't really too thrilled with it, so they couldn't have cared less. The second team to come out was Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Super Crazy. Okay. Now, Duggan, he's kind of slow. He's kind of immobile. Interesting thing is that Super Crazy on the apron was getting more heat than probably anything so far on the show. There was actually a Super Crazy chant. Funny thing is, he gets tagged in and pinned routinely within maybe a minute or 2 of action, tops, with like a neck breaker. Okay. The fourth team in the tag team turmoil was Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch, who ran out. Flurry of offense. One thing that these 2 guys did bring to the table is a physicality that the match was lacking up to that point. So it definitely got a little bit more physical. They actually ended up winning that fall, which led to the final 2 teams. Cade and Murdoch against Cryme Time. Now, Cryme Time is still with the company, and their show in here was decent. Most of it was JTG selling for the heels. Although it's kind of hard to call Cade and Murdoch heels. They did that tweener thing, which never really quite caught on. I'm not sure what direction the writers were going with that one. But Cryme time was in, and like I said, JTG did a lot of the selling. Not bad. The crowd seemed to pop decently for the faces, Cryme time, and they won the match. For me, you got 5 teams on display here, but there's not a lot of meat to this. I'm only going to give it a 4. It was fairly fast moving, although the crowd kind of sat on their hands, so that adversely affected it. Can't really recommend it. Brings us to the third match, and the final one on the first part of this review. Kenny Dykstra versus Ric Flair. Okay, Kenny Dykstra, dudes. The name ring a bell to you? Do you remember when they were actually trying to push this guy? Yeah, I do. And it wasn't pretty. He comes down to the ring with a robe, trying to ape Flair style. He's 32 years at this point, the junior of Flair, if you can believe that statistic. The match isn't good. Flair should not have been wrestling at this point. I loved him growing up. Starrcade 93, him and Vader, excellent match. One of my favorites from childhood. But here, no. No. Flair is red. His skin is haggard and saggy. His hair especially looks bad. It's barely hanging in. What little of it is left. It's been dyed so many times, and it's just not a sight for sore eyes. I can say that. Now Dykstra, again, he's kind of bland, kind of vanilla, coming out of OVW from Louisville. Needed a lot more seasoning at this point, especially on the defensive end of things. His selling was very mechanical. Now Flair, his selling has always been, great, very audible, which I love. But it's kind of funny seeing him try to sell these really passionate, screams and stuff when he's selling it as a result of Dykstra's shitty offense. So it's kind of it's nice to see him put the effort in there, but it's really hard to believe. So now this match I was kind of torn for. I was going to give it a 3 for the longest time, just because the elements together don't add up to anything special. Certainly not to me. But I will give them another point for bonus, giving the match some time and for the work involved. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 4 as well. Still not recommendable. Kenny Dykstra got the win, and according to the announcers, this was the 3rd consecutive pinfall he'd gotten over Flair. Kind of unsettling, considering Flair retired shortly after, and Dykstra is now, I think, scrubbing a floor at a Blimpie somewhere in Southampton. But, well, those were the first 3 matches. Later on, probably in the next day or 2, I will be finishing off this DVD. And at that time, I will finish this video review and post it. So far, the show, can't really say yay or nay yet. That's really going to be determined by the second half of it. Got some interesting stuff to come, so check it out, and we'll keep on not handing over.